This meeting will be conducted via remote means only, so the meeting will be terminated if there's a technological problem. To participate, click the Microsoft Teams link in the agenda or dial in. Please do not speak until acknowledged by chair or meeting moderator. Keep your phone muted at all times while not talking. *6 to mute and unmute your phone. Do not use speakerphone, Bluetooth, speakers or headphones. Mute all background noises, including PTV, television, computer, and use audio only. And I'm going to skip the remote attendance. All right, so present for today's meeting are Mia Kligot-Perlt.
Here.
Laura McCluskey.
Here.
Maria, are you on yet? Some phone numbers, I'm just not sure.
Jennifer's here via phone.
Okay, Jennifer Shiwi. And there's a 508 number. Is that press *6 to unmute? Maria did say she was going to be late, and Michaela Davenport present, so we have a quorum. All right, first up, public comment. There is a phone number online. And Gavin Kennedy is here. The select board meeting was canceled, so he has not been sworn in, but as the only applicant, I think, feel free to jump in, Gavin, if you would like to say anything, but just for the minute, Gavin Kennedy is here as well, just not sworn in yet.
Hi, everybody.
All right, so public comment, hearing none, I'll move on. Approved minutes from the previous meetings. Why don't I skip that till the end because Liz Payne is here, and we'll call out of order and do the committee member training with Liz so she can get back to work. If she's available.
Oh, I'm here. Okay, so
great.
I'm hoping this will work. I wanted to, you guys see my screen, which says want to serve on a board for those of you who are calling in from smartphones or computers or anything like that?
Yeah.
Pete, yes, you guys seen it? Okay, so I've done a lot of sort of accessible, or what I would consider easy accessible database trainings and all that kind of stuff. And we do have an employee handbook, which I'm just going to hover over it. It's 39 pages. It's a lot to digest. So what basically the select board did is they asked me to create a training that I would go before boards, and I took those 39 pages and I digested them and I spit them back out as a PowerPoint so that you guys could see it in a much more communicative way that's really easy to digest. So the biggest thing that we talk about with board membership and being on a board is sort of your ethics. It's a mandate that's required by the state. The training, I know Michaela just asked me about it. That link is also on the general information. So if you look on the general information, you scroll down, you'll see the State Ethics Commission contact information. That is a state mandate. It's a state monitored program. It's all done for the state. So I can answer questions about it and sort of things that are on it, but bigger questions need to go directly to state. So if you have a question about whether or not you can participate or anything like that, and anything that you might think you might be conflict of interest, you want to just call the state. When you become a board member, you have to be sworn in. We do have something called a holdover. So for those of you who have been board members and get reappointed, it's not the same sort of thing where you have to get sworn in before you can participate as if you were like a new board member. So I know we have a new board member who's on here who has been appointed, but you can't vote yet because you haven't taken the oath of office. So once you get into the reappointment process, it's easier. We used to be able to do online appointments. I apologize, the state got rid of that when they extended their OML. So you have to complete your ethics training. You have to do that within 30 days, and you'll get reminders from the state that you need to do two things. One, every 2 years, you have to do the re-exam, and then once every year, you have to do the acknowledgement. So you'll keep getting emails until you log into your portal and check that out. I have on this site and on the main site have the state ethics phone number. Again, if you're going to ask them about ethics and whether or not you have to recuse themselves or you have to file any sort of disclosures, they are the people that you go to. They'll give you all the information. In Provincetown, and pretty much everywhere in the Massachusetts, you have regular members and alternate members. Regular members are appointed as part of the full committee, which is the makeup of your board. So Harbor has 5 regular members and 2 alternates. You need to have at least 3 to have a quorum, and you deliberate and talk about everything. One of the things that I tell people about alternates is you only come in as a voting member when you're 5 regular members, you have an absent or a recusal on your board. And at that point, the chair needs to pick which alternate is going to be serving to fill that voting seat, if that makes sense. So it's Michaela's responsibility. Let's say for whatever reason, Gavin, you're a full-time member and you have to recuse yourself. Michaela would then pick an alternate who's going to sit in your voting seat. Okay. You never use all the members of your boards. You never do a vote of 7. It's always a vote of 5. You can never go over that amount. We have 2 types of boards in Provincetown. We have regulatory boards and we have non-regulatory boards. Regulatory boards, the easiest way to explain it is they have responsibility to establish regulations within Provincetown. So they're usually authorized under Mass General Law. Our charter spells out 7 of these boards: Conservation, Board of Health, Historical District Commission, Licensing Board, Planning Board, Water Sewer Board, and Zoning Board of Appeals. Those regulatory boards are the only boards that you have to be a full-time registered voter in Provincetown, not a full-time resident. We differentiate that in our charter, and it's because it's the only way that we legally can verify that you're a registered voter. I have no way to verify if you're a full-time resident or not. So non-regulatory boards, we have a number of them. You are one of them. That is also open to part-time residents or full-time residents who aren't registered voters who live in town. And your advisories, you operate under, the town charter or bylaws, or also under, the select board wanting to create a board to do sort of different activities in town. So biggest thing we talk about when you're on a board is communication and transparency. It's really important that if you are assigned a Town of Provincetown email, and this is generally for all the regulatory boards, you utilize that Town of Provincetown email for any and all things related to the board that you're on. If you're on a board where you're not assigned an email, then you have to copy your staff liaison. So every single email that you are sending out as a board member that relates to Harbor Committee needs to have Pete, at least Pete, CC'd on it. I would also recommend CC and Katie on it. The reason we do that is because we get a lot of public records requests, and your emails are basically, you can get court ordered to give us access to your email. So the best way to do it is just every email that you've ever sent, just make sure you're CC your staff liaison, because then we have access to it, and then there's no other emails and we don't have to chase you down. But that's really why it's very important. I know Michaela is very familiar with this because I've gone over this with her all sorts of times, but your chair is the one who sets the agenda. They work with staff liaisons the closest. They will preside over the meetings. They maintain order. They recognize speakers. They also could sign documents representing the board. They ensure that you guys are following open meeting law. And you also then have the same rights as your regular members. I like to tell people we don't follow Robert's rules. We follow Bob's rules. Robert's rules is a very structured parliamentary format of how we run meetings. And the only time we really use parliamentary law in the town of Provincetown is at town meetings. So we use Bob's rules for these meetings. So as the chair, they can make motions, they can deliberate, they can vote. You also have a vice chair. So that's who fills in when your chair is absent. They also assist with maybe special tasks. They can also be delegated responsibilities from the chair. So if Michaela had to recuse herself, then the vice chair would step in and run the meeting. You have a clerk. Even if you have a staff liaison, I recommend having a clerk. There's somebody who can assist. Again, it's sort of like assisting with the management of the board and helping out and coordinating and all that kind of stuff. Rules, we have open meeting law rules for drafting agendas. They have to be posted 48 hours in advance. So we ask in the clerk's office to get them 72 hours in advance, especially when they're by email. That's to make sure that we are able to get them posted reasonably. We understand when there's last minute changes, and I think everyone knows that in that case, they usually call my office to make sure we've got that agenda posted. We want to make sure that you're, posting, we're sticking to the agenda topics. You allow the public to participate if listed. You are not required to have public comments on items unless it's a public hearing. So the chair has the discretion to say that people in the public don't get to discuss items if that's what you guys decide. We encourage you, and not just encourage you, but we tell you, you cannot deliberate in emails, do not text, and, don't deliberate on social media. If someone's posting something on social media, don't reply. I also like to remind people that unless it's an emergency and qualifies as an emergency, you should not be putting last minute topics on the agenda. So basically anything that says anything that's within 48 hours that couldn't have been noticed. If you need to make a motion on it, that's an emergency. Otherwise, you should put it off to the next meeting. We don't want to debate personal issues. And we don't want to be discussing things that were in executive session, open session, unless you guys agree that it can now go into open session. So just kind of things like that. I've done the top 5 motions for any new board member who's just now getting into the world of being on a board. Most things, or actually all things, are going to start with I move. So you're going to move to approve, you're going to move to a deny, you're going to move to amend. But if you're ending the debate, we all call this the John Golden motion. It's you move the question. You can amend items, you can table items, recess items, and then, when the meeting's over, you're going to adjourn. These are the key sort of rules I always talk about for voting and debating, and I should really put this on there, but rule number 1 is you really want to be polite and respectful. Yes.
Liz, I'm so sorry. I just want to interrupt just for 1 sec for the minutes.
Sure.
That Maria Morelli joined at about 10 past 11.
Perfect.
Sorry.
Okay. You mean 2:11? 2:11. She joined at 2:11.
Yep, sorry.
Okay. No worries. I'm like, we're on the East Coast, Michaela. So for rules, and I didn't know I had to put this on there because it seems to be one of these topics that most people forget, but rule number 1 is be really respectful. I just got a phone call from a chair in another town being like, I heard you're really good at helping boards. And I'm like, well, not so much I'm really good, but I think the biggest thing that I would take away from, working with boards is the most important thing is being respectful. If you're respectful and you're considerate of other people's opinions, it's a lot more successful to get key topics move forward than it is when you're contentious and sort of rude to each other. So we want to make sure we stay on topic. We want to make sure that we understand that if your board votes a majority, even if you're in disagreement with it, you want to support your board because your board is acting as a whole. You're not individual members. You do have individual opinions, but once a board makes a decision, you don't want to just go then trash talk it on social media. And you want to make sure that you have your minimum quorums present because a lot of boards will start sort of going into sessions when you don't have a quorum yet. So those are just basic minute requirements. I know I've sent these out to staff. I'm happy to send them out again, but what you have to include in your minutes are dates and times and place of meetings. You want to include your members' presence and absence, sort of discussions taken. Very good reminder, we don't do transcriptions. We are not a verbatim minute taking. We do summaries. Katie, I can see Katie's face. So what I always tell people is if you can get your things in 3 sentences, you're going to do a general discussion, but what's really important, you need to record your vote. So the context of your conversation is great, but it's the votes that the board's taking that's important. You want to list any sort of exhibits or documents. That's why we post our packets usually, but if you don't post packets, you want to list out, we viewed map, blah, 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 sector. I don't even know what you guys do in the harbor for maps, but anyways, you want to make sure you list it. So if someone is looking for that information, we can find it for them. Best practice, keep the minutes factual and concise and just record who's there and motions and all that kind of stuff. Public hearings, I think you guys do very little public hearings, but because we only have 1 circulating newspaper in Provincetown, you have to publish them way in advance, like a month in advance. I think Pete learned this one time. But they have to be 14 days prior to the actual meeting. So we post it at town hall, we post it in the newspaper. Again, you got to include the date, time, place, and then the proposed text regulations. And then before the hearing and then after hearing, you have to do a determination of what you guys have done. I'm not sure how often you guys go into executive session, but basically open meeting law does allow executive session if they feel that the discussion that they're going to have in open session is going to be detrimental. They've created categories of what they feel are appropriate, and you just have to list your agenda properly. And the way that you handle executive session minutes are different because they can stay closed as long as the discussion is detrimental to the town. So we still have executive sessions from when I worked on the board that we've still kept closed. So it just, you know, you can always best practice is ask Pete to communicate with town council about that. We have a select board form of government. So the select board is, their powers come from Mass General Law. They come from the Provincetown Charter and the bylaws of the town. They are allowed to delegate responsibilities to the town manager and other boards, which is why we have like 40 boards, because they've delegated a lot of their different responsibilities to various boards to look into. They are supposed to enforce the charter. They're also supposed to direct the town manager. They are the public safety officials. They deal with contracts, and they have a number of boards that they appoint. Your town manager, they are the chief administrator of the town. They're hired by the select board and they operate per the charter, chapter 3, and they're responsible for the day-to-day operations of the town. So they oversee all the functionalities of municipal government. While the select board is in charge of the contracts, the town manager is in charge of procurement. They can establish the organization as they see fit. So they can consolidate departments, they can establish departments, they can, you know, create new positions, get rid of positions, all that kind of stuff. They do the personal management, commissioners of public safety, and their appointment authorities, conservation, historical commission, and board of fire engineers. The town moderator, they preside over town meetings. So as I said, they are the ones that do Robert's Rules, parliamentary law. They're elected. They're independent of the select board and the town manager. They're the one who sort of manage and run the town meetings, and they ensure that town meeting is conducted properly. So they appoint finance committee, personnel, and cemetery. So it's kind of like the balance happens with the three. My position is the town clerk. I am appointed. Most town clerks are still elected. So I serve as the official record keeper of the town. I provide support and guidance to boards, committees, and residents on statutory requirements. I'm also, as I said, for the keeper of the records. So I do meeting records. I also do all the election services, public records, and transparency. I get a lot of public records requests. I swear everybody in, so I can swear at everybody. It's very nice. And I support the boards when they need me to. All boards have staff liaisons. I like to tell people though that each board has a different level of staff liaison. I am a staff liaison to 9 boards, but my involvement is not nearly as intense as what Pete does. So I'm really more of like just the name on the website, whereas Pete is the person who has the understanding and the background and the education to support you as a board. So they're available to consult on different topics. They can communicate. They're able to communicate with the select board and the town manager, and they really should have awareness of what the board is working on so that they can answer questions and things like that. I like to remind boards that they do not take directions from individual board members, and they must be treated with respect. And then the last page is sort of the different town staff departments and who to call. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. And if you have any questions ever, you can always just email me. I'm way better at email than phone call because then I can read it, digest it, and respond back. But that's about it.
I have a question for you, if I could. Yeah.
Yeah.
We are embarking on a process to revise the pier and harbor regulations, and we have kind of chunked them. The regulations document, as currently posted, was last revised in 23, and it is like one PDF with subsections in it. And so the harbor committee and the pier committee, there's some overlap, you know, of course, and
so
expertise on these two committees with these things. How should we pair these folks up and give them?
So one of the things I would say is that the old harbor regulations were based on the Pier Core, which is no longer in existence.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's certainly one of the drivers of us revising them.
Yeah. So I don't know whether or not I would say that the Macmillan Pier committee has the same authority as the Pier Corps did, because the Pier Corps was voted on by town meeting and the Macmillan Pier is advisory. So the first thing I would be doing is looking at the functional, structural function, about who the town manager wants to sort of have the authoritative decision on that. And at the end of the day, all of those regs, even though you are the one conducting the meeting, is approved and finalized by the select board. So you're still an advisory committee. And
that's understood to us. And so the from conversations with Alex, the harbor committee is going to make suggestions essentially and make a motion eventually to recommend
the harbor
the
committee
suggestions.
holds the public hearing.
Yes.
So the harbor committee needs to pick whether or not you're going to do it all at once, which I would say would be a major undertaking, or if you're going to sort of tackle it in sections, because multiple reasons. One, it's a lot to digest and go through. And two, the publication is going to be huge because you have to publish every track change you're making, even if it's, technical, like you're going to get rid of where it says Pier Corps and you're going to say Macmillan Pier. Everything has to be put in a newspaper and published. So cost wise and time wise, it's going to be big. So my suggestion would be
where does that budget come from?
Harbor.
Great. Well, I'll save our pennies then.
Sorry.
Or you got to talk to the town manager about where that budget comes from. Does that come from the town clerk's office? I would tackle it in sections.
Mike Chute joined at 2:20, just for the minute. Sorry.
I would tackle it in sections, Pete. I would have a meeting where you guys decide what the higher priorities are, and then go from there.
Yeah, that's kind of what our next kind of topics are for this meeting. Actually,
Yeah.
we've broken it apart already, and we're going to kind of order them. It's good to know that we don't have to do it all at once, right? We can publish and notice and have a public hearing on the first third of it, the most important ones, and then kind of
and then I would decide, if you just want to do an addendum at the very front where it just says, in reference to the Pier Corps that was dismantled, and then that way you're not going through the whole document and editing every time it says Pier Corps until you get to that section to actually edit it. So I don't know if that makes sense, but if there's like an introduction where it's like a paragraph, you can make an addendum that says, in this document, please note.
Cool.
Something like that.
In terms of, go ahead, Michaela.
Sorry, Liz, I just wanted to confirm with you. So obviously this is a very big undertaking and we'll be working on it for a while, but so that it doesn't take up all of our public meetings, if we're breaking it into sections and we have one or two people working on sections, that does not have to be publicly noticed because it's not an open meeting violation if it's less than 3 members. Is that correct?
So 2 things. You're going to have to conduct a public hearing. So you can't really assign it to 2 people to work on because at some point you're going to have to deal with it. So
just to get it just to sort of like workshop it and then bring it.
So you can, you can absolutely do something where you're like, I'm assigning these things, like, I'm working with Maria on sections 1 through 4, and then at this meeting. But I mean, really what I would recommend, honestly, is I would do a workshop every 3 months and I would just tackle a section.
Okay.
But you gotta, before the workshop, you gotta bring the changes. So in that time period, Michaela, I would be assigning it. And then a month before that, I'd be saying, these are the changes that we're bringing to the workshop. And then that way you're not, it's a separate thing specifically for this, but that would just be, but yes, you can assign things to sections and have them bring it back. You cannot discuss it in an email. You can't discuss it with other members. So once you have 2 people discussing that section, nobody else can talk about it.
But I could, like, the staff liaison can join.
You're not under open meeting law. The staff liaison is not open, but Michaela cannot talk to Maria about it, and then go talk to Mia about it, and then go talk to Gavin about it. And that even though she's the chair, she cannot talk to more than one person. So whatever section you guys are assigned, Though that's it. Can't make a
Yeah, it
quorum.
might be helpful if I show. Yeah, so avoid quorums. So like here's the sections, and we're kind of suggesting who does what.
Great. So
We'll
that
keep it to
means
2 people per.
is this at this meeting being talked about, by the way?
Yes.
So this is on this agenda?
Yes.
Okay. So my recommendation when you get to this section of the agenda, and this is still part of my training, once
Great.
you know what your assignment is and once you understand your focal point and you understand who it is that you're talking to, you don't talk about it with anybody else. So that would be my recommendation.
Question for you.
But
So we got
can talk
2
to
different
Pete, and Pete can
advisory
talk to
committees.
individual members.
So I wouldn't call them advisory committees. What I would say is you guys are getting assignments as board members. You're not
Okay.
creating subcommittees. You're creating, well, they're based.
He's saying that Pier and Harbor will be working in conjunction. So some of these will be with Pier. Some of these will be assigned to Pier members, and some of these will be assigned to Harbor members. So these members can't talk to each other, but they can talk to either Jamie.
So
or
whoever
Pete
you're
or
assigned, whoever you're assigned to in the, like, if it was like 2 Harbor members and 1 Pier member, I would tell the Pier people the same thing. Don't talk to each other about it.
Yep.
Keep it within that circle. We don't want to have quorum issues. The flip side of that is this is Provincetown. This is a small world. And so some of these things are hard to avoid.
Yep.
Just don't put it in a text
so no more
message
than,
and don't put it in an email.
Got it. But if we want to consult some outside experts who are not seated on either committee for some of these sections
Outside
and have
experts
their.
are not a problem. It's
Okay,
only
great.
the committee members that are part of the committee. Again,
Got it. Great.
it's not a quorum if you have Michaela, are any of these committees going to, well, you have to be careful because you're on Pier too, right?
Yeah, no, I know that. Yeah.
Are you doing a joint meeting at any point to assign these?
We will, yeah.
All right, so when you do that, send me an email, and what I will do is I will write you a memo on ad hocs and how to handle it and who you can talk to and how to approach it, and then what you members should be doing. And then,
sorry for the rush on this. Could you have that for us for Peer committee tomorrow? Because we're going to kind of go over this with them tomorrow. You can just do it, verbally tomorrow versus memo format.
Yeah. Okay. Can you just send me an email on that, and I will.
Bring this up at Pier.
Is it on your agenda to bring up at Pier?
I'm not sure.
It's not on the agenda. Don't bring it up.
What about
unless you have a spot where you can give an update?
Yeah, I think we do have that. I think.
Okay. Pete, send me an email.
Okay. I'll send you this document so you can see what we're trying to do.
Yeah, but it's not okay.
Can I ask you a question that's related to that? So when you say if it's not on the agenda, don't bring it up. Does every agenda?
So you're breaking up, but what I'm hearing is whether or not you're allowed to have a discussion on an item that's not on an agenda. Is that correct?
Anything that's not on the agenda.
I'm going to ask the question again. What I'm hearing you ask me.
Yeah, sorry, you're breaking up. Your service is bad.
Here, can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Yes.
So the question I'm hearing being asked is, are you allowed to have a debate on a topic that's not on your agenda? Is that correct?
No, basically what I'm asking is from what I've seen on every board I've been on, every agenda always has an agenda item that's, is there any other business? And the boards use that to talk about stuff that's not on the agenda. So why, if we're never supposed to talk about stuff that's not on the agenda, why is that like standard practice? And is that something we should get rid of?
So what I would say is that the emails that I send out from the clerk's office remind every single chair that that should not be on there.
Okay.
Because the
Okay.
item should be, the discussion should be, this came to my attention. Do we want to schedule this at the next meeting? And the answer should just be yes or no. And beyond that, there should not be a personal debate. I am
Okay.
not an
Can I ask a
enforcement
non-harbor-
agent. I am not going to attend every meeting. My job is not to come down and tell people,
Yeah.
you know, but we have had complaints before. We tend to focus more on regulatory boards for our concerns. And we tend to focus more on like the select board for our concerns.
Yeah.
Because those are the higher liability boards.
Can I ask a question not related to harbor, but about historic, just since we're doing this? So we have it
Yeah.
under any other business for historic because it's a very expensive process to go through, like hiring an architect and stuff, so people can come with a project that they are potentially interested in doing and just getting advice sort of on the guidelines without, we don't actually just deliberate or discuss it, but it's to me, it's a cost effective
Yeah, but Michaela, that should still be on the agenda. Anytime
Yeah.
planning does that, that's something that they schedule in advance, and it's an informal work session that they've requested, but it's still done ahead of time.
Correct.
Well, we don't do it as like, it's not a project coming before us. It's just someone saying like, I
Yeah,
am
and
interested in.
So
no,
what I
it's
would
just
say to
it's
that-
just an idea, but that's
Yeah.
the same thing. Even
So
if it's
what I-
just an idea, if it's not formal, you still need to have it on the agenda ahead of time.
Yeah, I agree to that. And the other thing I would like to stress with that is, again, that's having public comment and participation and interaction with the public. That definitely needs to be listed on the agenda. That it not and anything, you know, but it's you can list it in a way that lets people know that the board is providing an opportunity for residents to come and discuss regulation with them. You can list it properly on the agenda. But
Got it.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not the chair for that board. I'm, you know, but it is
Yeah.
one of those things where I would say, it's skating a fine line, and it was similar to the site visits that used to be agendas that we shut down and said no more. But I don't like to be an enforcement agent. I just like to be somebody who informs them of the rules, how it's written, and reminding them that agendas are also at the discretion of the chair. So the chair has the right to invite the public to speak. Any other questions?
No, thank you.
All right. Pete, I'll look for your email.
Great. Thank you very much,
All right,
Liz.
bye.
Oh, is that it from Liz?
I think she signed off. Yep.
Great. All right. So sorry, I'm gonna get back into the agenda. Oh well, so next up, let's go back to minutes. I think we had a couple minutes from Jody. Did those get sent around? You don't happen to have the dates of those minutes, do you?
Let me check. Hold on.
October 8th.
Oh, Katie, you're on mute.
Another one besides that?
Sorry, I sent one out this afternoon, or this morning, rather.
Well, there's October 8th.
October 8th, that was the one.
Okay, perfect. Make a motion to approve the minutes of October 8th, 2025. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mia second. All in favor? Mia,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Maria,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Great. Gavin, if you want to do it for practice, you can vote too.
And Jennifer is
Yes.
here too.
Thank you.
Oh, Jennifer, sorry.
Yes.
Sorry with the number.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Mhm.
Okay, great. All right, perfect. Unanimous. October 8th is approved. And that's all we have for minutes, correct, Katie? All right. So next up is harbor plan. Update on
So
discussion. Pete, you want to take that?
yeah. Quick update, all positive. Kristen Uderwick from the Urban Harbors Institute, who we all met at our last meeting for her presentation on the scope of work she could perform for us as part of guiding our update of the harbor plan. She and I met with Steve McKenna, who is our Office of Coastal Zone Management representative. So he is from sort of DEP and is the person who would be, reviewing drafts of the plan and shepherding it through passage. And so he'll be very involved in the process throughout. And he, it's interesting to hear his perspective on our existing harbor plan. And he also is very aware of the work of the Coastal Resilience Advisory Board. And so he thinks it's really nice. It's good timing for us to be starting this now. Our next step is to kick off that we write a letter essentially to his office with a notice to asking for permission to proceed with formally revising our harbor plan. And then the state will publish it in the Environmental Monitor so that everyone around the state can give us feedback about it. This is apparently rare that anyone feedback is received at this stage. And then we'll go forward with our public process once we receive that. But he was very encouraging of our efforts as a board to start tackling this now. So more to come shortly once we get that letter sent off to his office so we can proceed.
Great. And I have a question. I don't know if this falls into the harbor plan or not, but I got the email today, which I'm sure everyone else who has a mooring got, about the classes to take for boater
Yes.
safety and that you have to be licensed. So how does that affect something like flyers? Like, is there something that we can do as a town to sort of bypass that? Because to me, that's going to be a huge business hindrance for if people don't know they go to rent a boat and they have to have a license.
Yes,
Noah's
that is
here right now, so if you have any questions for him, I guess, too.
Oh yeah, sorry, I was actually going to call Noah and ask because if there's something we can do to the state or something to ask for some sort of
Yeah, it's been on
that
their
seems
radar
really-
for a while.
Hi.
Hi.
Actually been dealing with this since about 2003.
Yeah.
And the legislature switched it right at the last minute before they signed it into law. So it is what it is at this point. I've been waiting for the Massachusetts Marine Trades to come up with some sort of guide from the environmental police who's in charge of licensing. I think we're kind of screwed, but if you're born before 1989, it doesn't really affect you until like 2 or 3 years from now. And they're also not going to enforce the law until September 1st. So, yeah, that's where we're at. So, yes, the answer to your question, screwed, yes.
The class where myself and Tony Jackett from Truro and Mike Cavanaugh from Wellfleet are working with the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary to offer the Boating USA approved one-day course. So we identified the shortest course, and we Wellfleet's going to host the first one May 9th. But we're happy to add more if demand is high. I'd like to have one in Provincetown to make it super easy for everyone who is like in Provincetown to do it. This doesn't help us with like a weekly visitor, right, who wants to come and rent a boat from Flyers. But I'd be very happy to join, like writing a letter, Noah, to anyone you think would be helpful to voice our opinion about the right way to implement this law. The one suggestion I did have is that the course is $45. Essentially, it covers the cost of like the books. The instructors are all volunteer, and it's from like 9 to 4:30 or so. And so if we did have a Provincetown one, like at Town Hall or wherever, we would bring in the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary instructors. But perhaps we could also, like for residents, offer the course either for free because the town or the gift fund could cover residents taking the course. To make it like a super no-brainer. And we could also offer it, at various times throughout the course of the summer or whenever is most convenient for folks. So happy to do. Katie, have we gotten any direct feedback from that email? Because that went out to hundreds of, if not over 1,000 people, right?
I got a interesting response from a fisherman. I was trying to think of the nicest way to put that. But I was also just thinking, there might be something because I am from New Hampshire and we have had boater safety certificates for years. I had one when I was a teenager, and you could do like a day of. So I wonder if that's something, because we have a lot I grew up in the Lakes region. So I remember you could rent a boat.
Oh yeah,
I've
rented jet skis on Lake Winnipesaukee, and I had to take like a 30-minute on my phone.
You did it right on your phone, so I wonder if that's something, Noah, you can look into. And I have some contacts in New Hampshire that I can reach out to that might have some more information, that own boat rental places, that maybe we can get some information from to see like who they reached out to and how it worked. But I know that was a thing, and maybe, I don't know, maybe it'll help. I'm just brainstorming because it's the Lakes region, but
it's all part of my master
plan. Could we put
plan.
that on the agenda for our next meeting, that maybe we can write a letter, because Flyers and also, what is it, the Freedom Boat Club or whatever, for people who are coming, for a week or, day trips or whatever, I think that is going to be a big hindrance for business. And I think if we can, I don't know how seriously it'll be taken, but I think that we should at least try and write a letter. I don't know who we write that to.
Yeah, do your contacts at Mass Marine Trades have?
Yeah, I talked to him at the boat show though the other day, and he said he was still waiting for feedback, and then I missed that. Did you go to that thing on Friday, the Mass Marine Trades meeting that they had? It's usually you. No, okay.
I skipped. They didn't invite me.
You were invited. But I'm just
no.
kidding.
And next time, make sure they send it to me too, and I'll remind them.
I'm just sitting at home on Friday, lonely. So
yeah, no, but usually they have some pretty good insight on it. But I talked to him and he said that he's still been waiting for the commander of the environmental police guy to give him. I don't think anyone's really ready for that to take place when they signed it into law last year. So I think they're trying to figure it out. So, but it might be just like your recreational fishing licenses that nobody ever checks in this state. So I don't know.
Say we enforcement of that law will be up to either the Massachusetts Environmental Police patrolling our waters or your local harbor masters patrolling our waters. I don't think like the Coast Guard is going to add it to their list of things to enforce when they do safety stops or anything. So to attract the attention of the enforcement authorities in the interim, you'll have to do something very outrageous, I think, on the water. The Provincetown Harbor Master's Office is not currently in the process of doing random stops of boaters. So this probably will not change that posture. One part of the harbor plan was we wanted to collect some ideas about community engagement ideas for folks. We should make sure that so this is a good topic certainly, but for sending to the Urban Harbors Institute, so when they can start putting together like their plan for the engagement things we have, and this is very early stages, but like clearly, all the water dependent businesses like Flyers and Al will be on the list. But is there anyone else in the community, and everyone with a shellfish license, everyone with a mooring, like all the like people we know of who are in our records somewhere as being water involved or water dependent, Chapter 91 license holders will all be reached out to by the harbor plan update process. But is there anyone that this committee knows of who is, an advocate or an avid user of the harbor or shoreline, who we should also reach out to, who might not be like holding a mooring permit, for example, or institutions?
Well, I think East Side and West Side tenants probably have some opinions. I don't know if we want to like identify key people first and then
not individuals, but like that those folks will certainly get reached out to because we've got their contact info in the peer files. But I'm thinking if there's anyone who or any organizations that do like events or art on the
Laura
harbor
Ludwig
or
for the beach cleanup,
yep.
I think would be a good person. Also Chase Heffernan from the Coyote Kayaks, because they do a lot of stuff in like the marsh, which a lot of people don't do, and that falls into the harbor. I do think there's like a thing of too many cooks in the kitchen.
Sure. These folks would be essentially people we made sure they got surveys and they got invited to meetings or workshops on it.
Got it. Yeah. Well, we have Flyers. We have. I mean, I don't know. Do we want to reach out to someone from the Coast Guard?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah.
And then I don't know if we want to reach out to like Dan McKiernan or Green Legger, Department of Marine Fisheries. That's Dan McKiernan. Green Legger is Cape Cod Fishermen's Alliance. I maybe not as much with the DEP because they already have so many regulations.
They'll be super they'll be super consulted anyway.
Does anyone else have any ideas? And Noah, feel free to weigh in.
Are you talking about the harbor plan or are you talking about the boat licensing?
The regulations for harbor plan, and as we're updating the harbor plan.
Yeah, no, you pretty much just covered it all, I think.
Yeah, I think Center for Coastal Studies, but Laura Ludwig specifically, I think beach cleanup. There's also a lot of grants for that. So that would be a good, I mean, there is a section, I think she's very involved in writing the first one. But I think we can certainly, and then who does the Mike Rigo does some sampling and work. I'm not sure who he does that for, but I guess I'll find out from him. For whatever agency that is.
I think it's Center for Coastal Studies.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I think so.
And then there's also, when I was working on the Bloodhound, there were some people who come down and take water samples, I think from Boston. I don't know if we want to reach out to.
Yes.
Find out who that is.
I have the contact info. I'm blanking on the name of the agency. It's not Fish and Wildlife. It's another one.
I mean, basically any state or federal agency that we can tie into our harbor plan that would open us up to grants if we have some of their programming in our harbor plan.
Cool. Great. I think that's it for the harbor plan item.
Sorry. Was that a question for me?
Oh yeah, sorry. I was just saying, I don't know if you had any suggestions in your field of anything that might be people to reach out to.
I can't think of anything like right off the top of my head that's like incremental to what you guys have listed, which feels pretty comprehensive for like my experience.
Okay. All right, great. If anyone else, if not, otherwise we will. Oh, I do think liveaboards reaching out. Well, those are mooring holders and stuff. So,
Mhm.
All right. So, if there's nothing else, harbor master report.
Yeah. So not too much to report. Having great weather and more this weekend. And so it's mostly been assisting DPW with their responsibilities. But we are implementing and meeting regularly with the people who will be with the new mooring and dock and slip software. So the new software package will kind of be your one-stop shop for hopefully everything, including even kayak rack permits. Katie and my fingers are very crossed here. And so you'll all get the chance to like log in and apply for the permits you want, and so will the public. And for our mooring servicer in town, there will be a special interface for them where they can see all of their moorings that they are contracted to service and our like location data for them. And so if there's any other harbor or mooring issues that anyone here would like to bring up, I'm happy to chat about them too.
Jennifer, Maria, do you guys have any?
Not at the moment. No, I don't think so.
All right.
But we're gonna keep talking about it. Right? Yeah. Cool. All right, thank you.
Sorry, was somebody else saying something?
I just the same with, I agree with Maria, not at this time.
Okay. No, do you have any?
I don't like boats and I don't like moorings, but other than that, I would just, I don't know. I heard some discussion about like, people only being allowed to have so many moorings and not being able to have a mooring if you don't have a boat on it. But I mean, that doesn't really make any sense if the town's taking in revenue from said mooring. I really hate environmental moorings. If anyone has a question about that, 2011 is the last time they did them in Provincetown, and I think 4 out of them failed before the other 2 just got abandoned, and I think one of them still a hazard of navigation in the east end. Yeah. So that's my vote on that.
I was just.
And
can I
what
interrupt
else?
for 1 second, Noah?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Sorry, I also just felt. Did
Maria,
you get Malcolm? Well, it's Maria.
Sorry, just because. Yeah, no, just because Jody's taking minutes and he's not here, just say your name when you.
Oh, okay. It's Maria. Malcolm sent you an email, Pete. I don't know if you got it.
Yes, I did, and I forwarded it to the chair. And so, Michaela, if you want to distribute, I think it essentially counts as public comment. It was addressed to me, but I believe he meant it to be for the committee. And so, Michaela, if you agree, we can distribute it to the whole committee.
All right. Yeah, because we were talking about.
I don't think I got it.
Oops, maybe I didn't actually hit send on that. It's entirely possible.
Oh,
to your.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You sent it to my work email address. I'll just read it into the record. Hi, Pete. On the issue of environmental moorings, this is a road the harbor master's office went down 15 years ago. 7 helical anchor moorings were installed behind and at the east end of the breakwater. One of these let go with a boat on it because the rubber band snapped. Another let go with a boat on it because the pin dropped out or let go when the screw anchor attached to the above ground tackle. Because the tackle from the bottom to the surface remains in the water year-round, that part of it gets severely weeded up and covered in barnacles, etc. There is no good way to dive to inspect this tackle. Apart from being hard to see what is going on with all the growth, there is no good way to tell when this type of tackle has reached a failure point. The only way we see to have any oversight would be to put a 5-year lifespan on every mooring and require it to be removed, brought ashore, and inspected or replaced. These moorings would have no environmental benefit on the tidal flats as the gear would still drag on the bottom in a circle. In medium depth and deep water, they present a hazard to navigation if the buoy is removed and not marked. There are a couple of the originals causing just this issue at the east end of the breakwater. Flyers is heavily invested in equipment for installing concrete blocks. There's no interest in getting into helical anchors. The town would need to buy the installation equipment or find someone else prepared to invest in it or pay someone from another town to do this work. To reiterate, Flyers will not take responsibility for installing nor inspecting these moorings for the reasons stated above. While the chain on traditional moorings does create a circle around the block that gets scoured, if these are not installed in eelgrass areas, it is doing no harm. Concrete blocks create habitat. Crabs and lobsters live under them and small fish around them. So to make them their habitat, and surprisingly, flounder like to lay flat under the chains, using them as protection from predators. I've seen this even with a boat on the mooring and the chain moving. Traditional moorings are relatively easy to inspect if you know what you're looking for. Flyers' failure rate of mooring chains we've inspected has been one boat in the last 20 years. We inspect around 300 moorings annually. The boat was saved undamaged and the chain let go because the block had some much older large steamer chain at the bottom from a time when this was tradition. It is hard to judge failure on this, and we have eliminated this system for many years now. For the same reason, we've eliminated below surface swivels. Other mooring thoughts. I see no reason to take moorings off people that haven't got a boat on them if they're paying the town for the mooring permit and maintaining said mooring. The only area where this makes sense is behind the breakwater where there is a waiting list. I would have thought a year's grace on the customers between boats would make some sense here. Otherwise, you'll be chasing around old boats that people put on the moorings just to hold them. And yes, full disclosure, I'm in this position. I'm happy to discuss other mooring topics going forward. It would seem odd to me to make decisions in these areas without consulting the only person in town with nearly 30 years experience in this field. Regards, Malcolm Hunter, Dock Master, Flyers Boatyard. And so, Pete, if you could send this around to the committee and also to Jody just for the minute.
Yep. Katie, do you mind adding that to our follow-up list?
And Maria, sorry, not to cut you off. I just wanted to read that into the record because I do think that is a very well thought out letter. But go ahead.
I guess that was it. I forget what I was going to say.
I do.
Yep.
Sorry, go ahead.
Good.
No, I was just going to say, I think this is why we put Malcolm on our list as under moorings in the harbor plan, because he has a lot of information that we.
I told him that we had talked about bringing him in, but I think he'd already sent it. Yeah.
No, I mean, that's fine. And
Okay.
I do agree about a grace period, and that, and I think we had already discussed that, that this would only be for behind the breakwater with waiting list areas. And I don't think that anyone who, like Malcolm or anything like that, would be under consideration. It was just if people had left their moorings for years and weren't using them.
Right.
And my suggestion as well was that if they wanted to sell the equipment to somebody who was willing to take on their mooring, that I don't think that we should be taking people's equipment.
Right. Okay.
This is a good time to just note that no decisions, of course, have been made yet about any of these. These are all sort of like regulatory decisions that the committee members who are assigned to like the mooring rules and regulations section will get to suggest to the full committee to then vote on, to suggest to the select board to then adopt. So we are early in the process, and it is exactly the right time to gather this kind of feedback.
Awesome. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt you, Noah. I figured it'd be easier to just have him read that.
No, it's all good. I think I have 4 moorings behind the breakwater, so don't take mine away, please.
Oh, good. There you go.
No, and again, that's the same thing. Like you're using your moorings, you're working, like if you need them for towboat, you need them. It's not that a boat has to be on the mooring all the time. You know,
I mean, sometimes we give them to employees, which is how we got Malcolm, I think, 30 years ago.
Yeah. And the same thing with any of the, I think we'd already discussed that, any of the people who have moorings for shelter, for, I think most of the fishing boats and all of those wouldn't be under consideration. But again, we would like Malcolm on our little advisory board. And you, Noah.
Yeah, I'm here.
I know he's on there too.
If it's gonna snow again, I may have to leave, but I still have a 14-year-old, so I'm here. But apparently none of you guys are, as I can see, except for maybe Katie, Laura there, and probably Cliggett
I'm
and
here.
Pete Wynn.
I'm sitting in my car in Barnstable right now. I just got back.
Oh, welcome home.
Thank you. It's not as bad
But
as
yeah,
I thought it was going to be.
I would be happy to help out in any way you guys need, in any of the stuff really. But the only thing I was wondering is, so it's the actual harbor plan, right? The large document from like 2018, is that the one? Or is it?
So
Yeah.
good question. What we're talking about now specifically are the harbor and pier regulations, which is the 55-page PDF from 23. There was another topic to update the larger harbor plan. So we're doing both.
Okay,
But one's a multi-year and one's a.
Pier Corps really screwed it up one year with like Carlos Verde and the other guy there, and kind of got pushed through a lot of the stuff. That
And the regulations or in the harbor plan?
in the harbor, in the Pier Corps regulation things that were there. I don't know if you have the pre-list of things.
Yeah, let me.
Because there's a lot of things that are illegal in there. I mean, I don't know if you want to go into that now, but there's a lot of things that were different and then they changed it. A few things like emergency vessels, like the towboats aren't supposed to be like at the pier. And neither is like the Center for Coastal Studies boats or things like that. And it had a addendum for it, and then they changed it back at one point, as I recall. But I guess going forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you mind if I send you this document, and could you just tell me what page and kind of like some of the language you're thinking of?
Well, I probably
and that way I can incorporate it into
from like the old one. I think probably that yeah. There's also some weird things in that don't actually pertain to anything that just need to have like a red pen going through them. But I can look at them, send you a list.
That sounds great. This is a good time. So go ahead, Maria.
Can we go back to an in-person option also?
Oh, for the meeting? Sure.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Katie, do you mind booking Judge Welsh for our remaining meetings? And I'll be there in person whenever I'm in town. Just as a reminder, there's one meeting I will miss completely in mid-February because I'll be not being snowed on in New England. So
yeah, Pete, while we're talking about that, the next meeting's February 11th, which is the one you're away for. And I actually will not be here because I have to bring my daughter to an appointment in Boston. So I don't know. You had said I would record the meeting, but I won't be here to do that.
So why don't we do that one remotely, and then so we can record online, and because PTV isn't actually working right now. So why don't we then, when Pete and Katie are back, switch to a
So then the following one, the 25th, I can schedule the Judge Welsh room for.
Perfect, thank you. And hopefully PTV will be working by then.
Okay.
Yeah, PTV is not recording our meetings or the peer meetings anymore because they only record regulatory boards and there's a cost associated with their recording. But these Teams recordings, Katie puts them on YouTube. And so we can also easily watch the links. And we'll put those on our website too.
That's fun.
Oh, I thought they recorded everything in Judge Welsh.
No, yeah, they only like operate the recording equipment for regulatory boards now. And the peer used to be a regulatory board. That's why they kept recording it. But the budget impact of that was not worth keeping up because we have this Teams recording, which frankly is, it generates a transcript. It's like this AI stuff is really working. So, and we can put it on YouTube and everyone can see it. So.
Great. And is it also getting uploaded to, like when you search for it through the, I guess not the PTV Gov thing, but through the Harbor website?
We're gonna post the links to the committee's websites. Exactly.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, just to touch on what Noah said, that I think that's why it's really important to have people like Noah and Malcolm. We have a new harbor master, we have a new harbor staff. we have basically a brand new harbor committee, and we don't have the institutional knowledge, and we're all trying to get caught up. But I definitely agree that there were some liberties taken by the Peer Corps, which I think is part of why there is no more Peer Corps. And so, we're in a 10-year project with the harbor plan, but also trying to rework the harbor regulations to work better for everyone and for the town. And so the more help that we can get from people with experience and and the information and users, I think the better off that we will be. All right, is there anything else for Harbor Master Report?
Nope, and we also kind of covered the item 6 as well,
harbor.
because we talked about the mooring regulations review, so.
And the mooring working group. So Maria, have you reached out to Malcolm?
Yes.
Okay, and
Yeah.
Noah sounds like he might be interested in helping too, despite his hatred for moorings and boats.
Yeah, I'll help you guys out with anything you guys really want. I'm around, but I'd really prefer to do it in person than on
yeah, that's fine.
yeah.
And also, so I think for these kind of, as we were talking about earlier, I think with these kind of sub things, like there's people going to take ownership of these. So as long as it's not a open meeting violation, which it is not because you're a member of the public, that you could get together and then Maria can come as a board member and present the ideas that you guys have had, and then we can discuss them as a committee. But I don't think that the whole committee needs to go over every item. I think that, the reason that we assign these is that we're comfortable with you guys sort of taking it on, and then we can discuss when you guys have sort of hashed it out. If that is still okay with you.
That is
Maria
actually
and
exactly,
yeah.
that's what I was hoping. So for each, let me just, I've been fiddling with the format of this to make it kind of more clear here. I'll send this document around when we're done, but like for each area of the regulations, which we kind of broke out based on their functional attributes, you'll certainly want to have the staff liaison like with you when you're meeting. And we can have up to 2 people per committee without breaking open meeting law. So I put spots for each committee to suggest 2 people. And then of course, any additional members, as their expertise is warranted, can also join them, as long as members of the public. And so this is kind of where we are now with this assignment, and Peer Corps meets tomorrow. And we will bring this up under the general updates agenda item, and we'll assign peer committee members to these as well. And then I think between the liaisons and Katie, with Katie's help, hopefully kind of shepherding all of these cats. I'm happy to meet in person with all of the groups that I'm assigned to. And then the groups that Jamie's assigned to, she can meet with you folks. And that way we have someone in your meeting who is like the staff expert in the task area. And also like, as you're having ideas and talking about things, like I can be kind of live editing the document while you watch, so that you can just talk at us with your ideas and we'll make the suggestions in the document. And then when we agree on the suggestions, the person can bring it to the relevant committee and talk the committee through it from their perspective. So that's kind of my idea on how to like make all this work, given that we have to review 55 pages of things that cross over 2 committees and many people. Thoughts or feedback on that? Happy to make it suggestions or make edits.
Yeah, I think that makes
Pete,
sense. I mean, from what I understood from what Liz said, basically we just need to have a public hearing to discuss anything that the individual groups had come up with. So
I think, for the public hearing, we have to have like formally aligned as a committee on all of the changes we want to make.
Yeah.
And then we publish them in the paper, then a month later have a public hearing, and then the committee can vote to send it to the select board. So I think there's an interim step where like the
no, for sure. And I just, while I'm talking, you can, if you want to add me to the ancillary peer facilities with Maria, I'm happy to work on that too.
Thank you.
Pete, this
Great.
is Laura. If you add me to the commercial
Go ahead.
fishing docket.
That's Laura McCluskey.
Oops. Oh my
McCluskey.
gosh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
And I'm bad at spelling Ski like that.
MACLUTSKY, all one word.
And so just for clarity, the reason that I think that this is a good idea is we don't have to post a public agenda every time we're doing this so people can brainstorm. I also think, I mean, I don't think my opinion on moorings is valuable at all. I just don't know enough about it. And I think that I'd rather leave that to people. I'm happy to champion whatever you guys want, like when we have to present to the select board or anything. But I think it's going to be more conducive and kind of more productive way to get this done.
Pete, will you also throw Malcolm under waitlist procedures? Because I'll consult him and make him work on that with me.
And Noah, would you like to help out with fee schedules?
Yeah, I could do that. I could do that. I could do all of them, really. I don't know. I kind of probably have some input to all of them if you really want me to do that. But
yeah.
Now, when you guys try to give this to the selectmen, you're going to pick like one at a time, or are you just going to try to throw it all at them after you have it complete? Is that like?
I think
we'll read the room closer to the date.
Okay.
One of my thoughts is that I wonder how extensive the edits will be in each section. And so if there's something that's likely to be quite, controversial or require a lot of debate or public engagement, we might separate that out. But if there's like a bunch that are just quick updates and removing the word peer core and inserting the word peer advisory committee, then we can chunk those together. But I'm with you folks in that this process is new to me too. And so I like that we can start with it really distributed and very thorough, and then we'll see what we get and can make choices from there.
All right. Is there anything else on harbor regulations, or does anyone else have anything? Also, any member of harbor can attend as a member of the public for peer. Just if you want to, we would need to have a joint meeting if we want to like deliberate or anything. But if anyone wants to attend to get an idea of who's doing what, but Pete can also update.
Yep.
That after. I also think I'm going to propose at Harbor at Pure. One of the things that did used to work, I think, between Pure Core and Harbor was that there was a liaison. I don't think we need an actual liaison, but having a peer update on our agenda and having a Harbor update on the Pure agenda, just so that is an actual agenda item that people can talk about, so we can say this is what we're doing on Harbor and vice versa. And then that way, if anyone has any questions or anything because it's too much to have Pete attend every peer meeting and Jamie to attend every harbor meeting, but between Mike and myself who are on both, I think that it's good just to have continuity between the groups. Maybe we can add that to, I guess that's under potential agenda items. So is that okay with everyone that we would just do like a brief update so I don't think we need a motion for that, but and then one thing I would like to put on the agenda is discussion or an update on the licensing regulation for I know you kind of updated us, but Gavin, sorry, I think you're unmuted. If we can, I think maybe we should put a letter together from the board, even if it is not even if it is something that they're discussing at a much higher level. I think that we should put a letter about the effective businesses and the harbor and that this new legislation is going to have.
Right to Maura Healy's desk.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I don't know who you
Um,
send it to. I think it's supposed to be like the commandant of the Mass Environmental Police who's supposed to have the plan implemented, but I don't know if that's happening. So,
well, we can CC everybody. So,
or maybe even the
um,
legislature that did it. You know.
maybe it's also worth reaching out to Julian Sear and Hadley Luddy as our local reps. And I mean, this is something that is going to affect the Outer Cape and islands in general, not just Provincetown that has boat rentals. And so I think that let's get this on the agenda and then maybe we can reach out to them as well. Does anyone else have anything that they would like to be on upcoming agendas? Noah, Gavin, you're also welcome to make suggestions. Bueller, anyone?
I think I'm
No.
I'm good.
No?
Just
All right.
this
Sorry, go
this
ahead,
is
Jill.
just a quick question I thought of. What is the timeline we're looking for to have our edits done for the sections we're working on?
That is a good question. I think the mooring stuff was kind of first priority. I don't think there's going to be anything that I don't think that there's going to be many big changes before the upcoming season. I think that at least my opinion last time was I think that I don't think you can really say to people in January or whatever that there's going to be
No.
like major changes. Um, so
I just
do you
need
have
like an
on that,
idea.
Here's a projected timeline.
Well, wasn't there
Okay.
something about November or something too that Jennifer was saying? Um, something about May 1st being when people are allowed to arrive for a mooring because Northside kicks people out May 1st, but I don't
Yeah.
think anyone really enforces it, so I don't know how much that matters. But it is on the in the rules and regs here.
Yeah, and I don't know because I was just told since I brought my boat there this year that I had to be out by May 4th first, and I was told there was some leniency, but it's just my biggest concern is just having to come back over and then not having like pump out and water available and the harbor boats available for emergency situations. So, yeah,
that you have to have your
I
boat
don't know
on
how.
a mooring by
Technically, no, but I wouldn't necessarily, I'd rather have it on a mooring than anchored. I'm just saying that the timeline for the boatyard that seems to be the closest and most popular for liveaboards is we're supposed to be out by May 1st, but November 1st was the earliest I could actually be there. But I know pump out was done. I think like it was supposed to be in tandem with Bay Lady. It would be nice if I guess the boatyard timeline coincided with when we're allowed to be on our moorings as well, so that it
Yeah.
all lines up. So there's not this like interim where we're not really supposed to be anywhere.
Oh yeah, no, certainly. I forget in the current regs, which we're obviously going to revise, when the like mooring season is. Is it like April 15th? I want to say, but regardless, whenever you guys need to come here, we are here, and we can put pump out in the water and run it for you. And also this courtesy float pump out, we can get up and operational, anytime, especially when the freezing stops. Like that's why we winterize it. And we have a safety boat in the water year round now, so we're ready for you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think whatever I was looking at said May 15th, and perhaps that was old, but
Yeah, that may be, if
that
that's
was
in the current regs, it's one of the things we should revise with the mooring working group.
cool.
Just also be aware that we don't really inspect them until like the water gets warmer in June. So, but yeah, I don't think that should be a problem if like the few people that do happen to measly across, we can usually have them ready to go for that time frame of May 1st.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome.
And Jen, sorry, is that north side or you? Where are you?
It is, yeah, that's north
Yeah.
side. Which, yeah, and I checked with some others that have had their boats there fairly routinely, and they said, yeah, they're usually pretty much by that end of the first week, they're really pushing them to get out.
By the 15th, they're really like, get out. Well, they start charging you after the 15th. They're pretty
Sorry,
good,
yeah,
but
no,
yeah,
I
they'd
think-
rather have you be out. Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's the dinghy dock is April, I think, but I don't know what the mornings are.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so that's really good information to have, and I think Pete has essentially covered that there will be safety and pump outs if needed. Is there anything else? Don't be shy, we don't have a meeting for 2 weeks. All right, if there is nothing else, I will make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mia, second. All in favor? Mia?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Maria?
Yes.
Jennifer? And I think Mike dropped off at some point.
Yes.
Great, and Michaela, yes. All right, thanks. So we will
Awesome,
not
thank
see
you.
Pete or Katie at the next one. Will you guys be able to set up a link for me and make me the whatever person so I can record
Yeah,
it?
I'll make you the
I
presenter.
Thank you.
I'll
I
make
don't
you
know
the
how
presenter
technology works,
for the February 11th meeting.
so- Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, bye then.